And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get set for race number 25 of the third season of the NCAA Hersheys Cup Series. After this race, it's only one more race, and we'll know the 16 drivers that will be battling for this season's Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. A lot of drivers coming into this race already locked into the chase field. There are some drivers, there's a question mark, but here today, with a good run, they could lock themselves up a spot as we're here at Kentucky Raceway getting ready for 54 laps of racing. Two of those drivers that have that question mark of whether they'd be locked in with a good run or not actually starting up inside the top five here. You've got the pole sitter Tim Walch. He comes into this race 16th overall in the point standings. At this current point in time, he holds the 12th seed of the chase for the championship. However, he's not locked in. The magic number is 94. You have to be 94 or less points, 94 or more points ahead of 30th in the standings. Right now, Tim Walsh is not within that window at this point in time. Maybe with a good run today, maybe with a win, he'll lock himself up a spot in the chase. The other driver starting off fourth, that's Dallas McIntosh. McIntosh comes into this race 21st overall and has the 13th seed of the current chase drivers as it stands right now for the chase standings. However, he also is not within that 94-point bracket. He is currently not yet locked into the chase for the championship. But look at some of the drivers you got up here. You got Dylan Young. You've got Joshua Michaels. Winners last season, but their wins came during the chase for the championship. They're trying to get a win here just before the chase to get themselves in the hunt for this championship title as well. You got Daniel Voyles, had a great run last week at Yas Marina Circuit. Can he follow it up with a good run here? Let's get command.
Drivers, start your engines.
As there's command to fire them up, take a look down the description. You'll see your starting lineup for this race. And as things stand right now, we have a total of 9 drivers, I should say, that are locked into the chase for the championship, regardless of what happens here tonight at Kentucky and next week at M&M Super Speedway. They would be K Tellier, Matt Haas. They're locked in, as are Cole Baker, Emmanuel Hartnett, Blaine Keys, J Baskinger, J Richardson, Jessica Shelton, and Trent Dunham. They will all compete for the chase for the championship in 3 weeks. Question mark drivers, 2-time winners in Kyle Mathews and Michael Norman, and single race winners in Tim Walsh, McIntosh, also Cody Llamas, Zachary Fitzwater, and Benjamin Miles. Right now, Miles holds the 16th seed, the final seed in the chase for the championship. Sean Gallighan, J Bryant, they're 29th and 30th in points. Their win would still count towards a chase spot. However, they would be 17th and 18th right now. As far as the chase seeds go, that puts them outside of the chase. Both those drivers need a good run here tonight and next week at MM Super Speedway. But here we go, 54 laps of racing here at Kentucky. Will fuel strategy come into play? We'll have to find out. Tim Walsh looking for his second win of the season. Dylan Young his first. The green flag is out. We're underway here today at Kentucky Speedway. Already they're getting 3 wide, almost 4 wide back there for around the 7th position. They settle it back to 3 wide. Is Tim Walsh going to drive away? They're going to go 3 wide, looks like for second. K Tellier driving it down to the bottom. Look at Nathan Hudson up the middle, 4 wide back there with Flickinger and Dylan Young, J Arndt. And J Arndt going to be able to get out of that with the position. Now Benjamin Miles trying to go up the middle. Hard racing early on here. Look at some of these drivers rim riding on the top. Dallas McIntosh, J Baskinger. Everybody trying to get what they can get early on here in this thing before drivers start being able to get spread out. And Benjamin Miles getting moved up the racetrack there by Dallas McIntosh. As up front, it is Tim Walsh over the Honda Accord of Joshua Michaels. Voyles there in the 3rd position, and Matt Haas right there in 4th. I'd have to look back as Joshua Michaels goes for the lead. I'm pretty certain that the previous winner of this race is Benjamin Miles. You can look here as Tim Walsh going to use the somewhat higher middle groove to at least hold off Michaels for the moment. Look at Matt Haas. Look at K Tellier. Big run on the high side for the 35. Already locked into the chase. K Tellier just looking for a 3rd win of the season. to retire with most wins in a single season with Charles Sandfer, who had 3 wins last year. And look at Joshua Michaels still trying to get that inside line going, but there's a tremendous run off the corners. And you see Tim Walsh utilize that to his advantage as he will hang on, at least for the moment, to that top position. And as they're battling, I'm going to look back and quickly see. I'm going to actually see if I can actually find out who won both the Kentucky races. I'm almost certain that the last year's was won by Benjamin Miles. As I look, no, I'm incorrect actually. No, maybe Miles won the first one. Let me look there real quick. And yes, Benjamin Miles won it back in Season 1. Season 2, it was actually Chris Dodd, the defending Hershey's Cup Series champion. Well, I wanted to go back there and take a look at that battle for 9th between Emmanuel Hartnett and company, but they're starting to get racy up here. Look at Joshua Michaels. Going to put his car up to the high side. Pulls alongside Tim Walsh. Nice move by the 10 car. Joshua Michaels trying to go to the race lead. He may get a good run here out of 4 and be able to clear Tim Walsh for the first lead change of the evening. And indeed he does. What a nice move there by Joshua Michaels. He's out in front. Now Joshua Michaels, past 2 seasons, he's gone to victory lane at least once. He went to victory lane at Pocono Season 1, and then at Auto Club, the season finale last year, in Season 2. He'd love to be able to go 3 for 3 in seasons, plus he'd love to be in his second chase for the championship. He was in the chase back in Season 1. As K Tellier uses the inside line, and now she's going to go to the lead. It's the first time that we've seen that inside line actually really work as a pass for the lead is completed. Emmanuel Hartnett there on that high side. You know, Emmanuel Hartnett's been one of the unsung drivers here this season. Emmanuel Hartnett coming into this race is 4th in the point standings. I mean, he was struggling back at the beginning of the season. He got that win at Eldora, and ever since then, he has just been up inside the top 10. He's now fought his way up in the top 5. He's been one of the most consistent drivers of the second half of the regular season. Right now, though, 3 of the top 4 drivers have all been to victory lane so far this year. There's Carson Scott. He's now moved up to 5th. Of course, Carson Scott retiring at the end of this season. How would it be for Carson Scott in his final year in Hershey's Cup Series to be in the chase for the championship? He's got a win back at Homestead Miami Speedway. I think that was back in Season 1. Not entirely certain. That's Emmanuel Hartnett trying to get the inside line going to get the race lead. And let me see for certain if that's the case. Scott's win at Homestead was back in Season 1, and I believe that's his only win. Oh, I think we just had trouble back there. Oh, no, we didn't. I was actually seeing that section right there where the cars can come off pit road. Colin Denton way back here, not having a good run at all. Oh, look at this. Sean Gallighan, J Bryant back here. Remember we said that those 2 needed good runs here tonight and at M&M Super Speedway. Right now Gallighan is 37th, J Bryant is 38th. Now I don't know, maybe this is strategy. We're only 11 laps in. Maybe they're riding at the back on purpose, but this is not good for them right now if they want to get themselves into one of those 16 spots in the chase for the championship, especially if we have another different winner go to victory lane here tonight. Not too far ahead, there's James Qualls. Let's not forget, Joanna Atwood Motorsports celebrated their first win of the season last week with rookie Joshua Osborne. James Qualls here trying to fight his way up to the front. And this is kind of a home track for Qualls as well. Also for Dylan Poteet. So see what they both can do in this one. Kyle Mathews there, the 09 two-time winner that's not locked into the chase yet. Same for Michael Norman. Kyle Mathews coming to this race 19th in the points. Michael Norman 20th in points. They, as I was stated before, are not within that 94-plus points bubble yet. I mean, it's pretty obvious that probably even after this race, they'll be locked into the chase for the championship. But mathematically, they still could fall outside of the top 30 in the points. And they're racing really hard for second on back. Right now, K Tellier out in front. K Tellier with 2 wins this season. Those 2 wins, of course, coming at road courses. First at Infineon and then at Watkins Glen. K Tellier yet to win this season, though, at a track other than a road course, and would love to be able to do it here today at Kentucky. Carson Scott going to try and drive it down on the bottom, and not going to be able to do it. History was kind of made for at least one driver that I know of for making chases. With J Baskinger locked into the chase for the championship, he has been in all 3 of the Hersheys Cup Series chases so far. Manuel Hartnett back there on the high side, 3 wide with Carson Scott, Joshua Michaels. Remember, we mentioned Tim Walsh on the pole for the start of this race, not locked into the chase. Well, right now with where he's running, he would be locked in to what I believe would be his second chase for the championship. I think he participated last year. I don't think he was in the chase back in season 1, though. And you gotta wonder, we're only 16 laps in. They'll be completing lap 16 when they cross the line. When and if these drivers are going to have to pit, is that going to throw a monkey wrench into this running order? A couple other drivers starting to make their way up here to the top 10. J Arndt, the Reddit Chevrolet. We saw him have a pretty decent run back last week at Yas Marina Circuit. And with that run, J Arndt moved himself up to 15th in the point standing. So right now, if he were able to go to victory lane, he would potentially take a chase spot away, probably from Benjamin Miles or Zachary Fitzwater, depending on who is running the lowest. And right now, I think that would be Miles. Fitzwater just up inside the top 10. Last time scored in the 9th position. And you got Nathan Hudson there as well in the 6th. Nathan Hudson had a win last year during the chase at Lime Rock. Hudson trying to pick up his second win of his career, and coming into this race, Nathan Hudson is currently 14th in the point stand. So we can't say he's had a horrible season. He's been quite consistent to be up in the top 15 in points, but he's still looking for that first win and trying to make his first appearance in the chase for the championship. Talked about how Kyle Mathews and Tim Walsh aren't locked into the chase yet. Well, same can be said there for Zachary Fitzwater, our winner from Phoenix. And Fitzwater coming into this race 25th in the point standings, so 5 positions ahead of 30th in the standings. He's definitely not got a huge gap between himself and that 30th position in the points. So Fitzwater just trying to get himself away from that 30th position in the standings, and with a good run right now, might be able to open up enough of a gap, I don't know, to be able to get out of here with a locked-in chase spot. As Emmanuel Hartnett all over the back bumper of K Tellier, and here comes Hartnett to the bottom, but like we've seen, that high line gets a much better run off the corner, and now Emmanuel Hartnett may have some company. Carson Scott there in the Great Clips Chevrolet, trying to reel him in for second place. Matt Haas in his 2 wins so far this season at Las Vegas and Atlanta, as they're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Hartnett in the middle, Scott on the bottom, Tellier on the high side, and Hartnett will slide up to the top position. What a move with that 3 wide battle into turn number 3, and now K Tellier back to the bottom of the racetrack. The only car that I've really seen that's been able to get that inside line going, but you see right there, that shoot through the middle of the corner off on the high side, and Emmanuel Hartnett will hang on to the race lead. It's been a pretty struggling season overall for Srigley Motorsports. Joseph Srigley, the team owner, currently, well, actually no, I was going to say struggling season, but Joseph Srigley is actually 13th in the point standings. So Srigley hasn't had it all bad. Then they've had go or go home drivers have difficulty making races. Kev Shearer, and trying to remember who the other driver is for that team. Oh, Jonathan Zorlin was the other one, that's right. But I mean, as far as the 2 chartered cars, they've been holding their own. Hartnett 4th in the standings, Srigley 13th in the standings. And Srigley right now running up in the 7th position. So both the chartered rides running very well at the moment. Well, we mentioned about Fitzwater. We mentioned about Walsh, McIntosh. Let's go back and find where the NW racing cars are. Benjamin Miles and Cody Llamas. They're not locked in yet. There's Miles. Last time by, scored in the 16th position. So he's battling here with Cole Baker, Anthony McCrury. And then we got to go quite a ways back to find Cody Llamas. Right now he is situated in the 25th position. As we jump back further, you mentioned Miles is up here in now 17th place. Remember we talked about Gallighan and Bryant trying to reel in Benjamin Miles. Well, there they are, still 37th and 38th. They're in the pack still, but they just really haven't tried fighting their way to the front, which says to me this could be strategy. They're more than likely going to have to pit before this race is over. And so maybe, just maybe, stay out an extra lap, save some fuel, go an extra lap and get some track position, maybe something like that, I don't know. Right now, though, the good thing for Gallighan and Bryant is that the top 3, as a matter of fact, 5 of the top 6 are former winners this season. The thing that would really hurt both Gallighan and JT Bryant is if we have a different race winner go to victory lane here tonight. And at the moment, the only possibilities we have up here close to the front are Carson Scott, Joseph Srigley, Nathan Hudson, and J Arndt, who are currently scored in... Oh, I think we may have just had pit stops. Oh, no, we didn't. Yes, we did. We did have pit stops, but I think the caution came out, too. Yellow flag is out. These drivers, J Arndt, Michaels, Dylan Young, and Brandon Gonzales, they got to get their pit stops done quick. And I think they're going to be able to cross the line before the leader gets around, so I think they'll still be on the lead lap. Looks like Chris Dollerton might have gotten some damage and might have been the reason for this yellow flag. It looks like all the drivers there did cross the line before the leader did, so they'll still be on the lead lap, I think. As Emmanuel Hartnett will come around to get the caution. Well, what was looking like it was going to be green flag pit stops and maybe strategy, all of a sudden it's going to turn into yellow flag pit stops. And where did third place go? There they are. I think they're all a little confused with where they are compared to the drivers that were just on pit road. That caution was not what Michaels, Dylan Young, J Arndt, Brandon Gonzales needed. However, they may be able to be back on the lead lap. I don't know. They may be stuck behind the pace car. So more than likely, everybody else is going to be coming to pit road this time. Only driver I saw with damage was Chris Dollerton. I can only assume that maybe there was a stack up trying to come to pit road. And it's going to be feeding time at the zoo here. Track position, such a key factor here at Kentucky, and have to see if maybe someone's going to be bold and roll the dice. Maybe go with a 2-tire stop. Maybe go with fuel only. Following the leader Hartnett in, and they're going to go around to the right side. So it looks like 4 tires for him. Looks like 4 tires for just about everybody. And we're going to have to see if Hartnett's team's going to be able to get him out first. He's down and away. Can he beat out everybody else? And Walsh trying to beat him off pit road and not quite going to be able to do it. Wow. What a battle there between Emmanuel Hartnett and Tim Walsh. But Hartnett gets him at the line, and it looks like Emmanuel Hartnett will be the leader when we go back green. And these are the drivers here that were on pit road when that caution came out. Looks like they are still on the lead lap, but I think they're going to be stuck behind the pace car. So this could be a very, very interesting restart. Let's take a look and see what brought out this caution flag, though, for the first time here today at Kentucky, just past the halfway point. Well, as I thought, stack up with drivers coming to pit late here, and it looks like, oh, Dylan Young made a late choice to come to pit road. Most everybody else had already come down and they were good, and it slowed up Cody Llamas, and I think that was Joshua Ciculli behind him, Blaine Keys sees this. He dives to the inside, as does Dollarton, and I think Dollarton didn't realize Blaine Keys was underneath him, and there's Keith Batson getting a piece of it there. Z Flickinger also involved, and right there, DJ Curtis. Got a little damage on the right front. Don't know if Zachary Stultz was involved or not. But, yeah, just the stack up there, and that kind of was the fault of Dylan Young. Dylan Young deciding last minute to come to pit road, and that just kind of messed everybody else up as far as their entry into pit road, or their exit out of turn 4. Everybody got stacked up. Everybody tries diving low, and there's just not enough real estate. So that's to put us under the caution. Let's go back now to green. We should be getting the 1 to go signal this time by Emmanuel Hartnett is the race leader. J Arndt, Dylan Young, Joshua Michaels, Brandon Gonzales, they're all on the lead lap, but they're going to be restarting ahead of the race leader. That's not where they need to be. It's also going to maybe play havoc for Emmanuel Hartnett as far as giving the drivers behind him an opportunity to maybe try and take the race lead, maybe potentially the win away from him. Tim Walsh will line up in second, Carson Scott in third, Jake Baskinger's in fourth. Fifth place will be K Tellier. Then it's Nathan Hudson, Matt Haas, Joseph Srigley, Dylan Poteet, and Jessica Shelton now up in the 10th position. We're going to have a lap machine on the inside line, that being Colin Denton in the 20. Cole Baker lines up in 11th. Daniel Voyles is 12th. Chris Dodd is 13th. Benjamin Miles 14th. So our two former winners at this track lining up inside the top 15 with Zachary Fitzwater in 15th. Richardson, Keys, Dalio, Llamas, and McIntosh. That will be your top 20. Nobody out of the race, but Colin Denton is actually 5 laps down. Had to come to pit road for some kind of mechanical issue. Spent a number of laps on the pit lane and is currently multiple laps off the lead lap. So we can't call J Arndt, Dylan Young, Joshua Michaels, Brandon Gonzales lap traffic because they are up to speed. No damage on any of those drivers. They just had the misfortune of the caution flag coming out when they were down on pit road. So Brandon Gonzales, Michaels, Young, Arndt, they could play havoc here with the race leaders, Hartnett, Walsh, Scott, Baskinger, all the way on back. We'll have to see what happens. Green flag back out here on lap 33. Got 22 to go here at Kentucky. Hartnett trying to get the jump on Gonzales on that inside line, and here comes Tim Walsh. Up the middle on that outside line. That's the line that gets the run. Carson Scott's up there. Baskinger's there. Oh, this is getting interesting up here at the front now. Hartnett slides up to throw the block on Tim Walsh. Here comes Walsh to the bottom. He's got Jake Baskinger down there as well. They're 3 wide for the lead. 3 wide behind them. 4 wide behind them. Hartnett rim riding on the top. Colin Denton almost making it 4 wide with him as Baskinger has a nose out in front down the back straightaway. But it's Tim Walsh who's now gotten away with the race lead. The battle for second is on. Walsh is clear of all that mayhem. And Hartnett looks like he's going to use the outside line of 4. He'll hang on to second place and now set his sights on trying to reel back in Tim Walsh for the race lead. Carson Scott now side by side with Baskinger. Oh, Matt Haas had to lift there. Nearly gets run over by Jessica Shelton. As Baskinger, he'll now jump into third. Carson Scott trying to hang on to fourth. Looks like he might. And now the battle's on for fifth between Nathan Hudson and K Tellier. Meanwhile, Tim Walsh has been able to get around Joshua Michaels, so now a lap machine between himself and second place, which is about to build up between Emmanuel Hartnett and Jake Baskinger. And again, the odds in favor of Gallighan and Bryant, of a previous race winner this season, going to victory lane again, which is what they need to have their hopes of being in the chase still alive after this race, as well as heading into M&M Superspeedway. Same can be said for Benjamin Miles, because if another driver that's ahead of him in points goes to victory lane for the first time this season, Benjamin Miles would fall from the 16th to 17th seed of the race winners this season. Tim Walsh, though, out in front, trying to work on putting Dylan Young down a lap. He's got a lap machine, a fast lap machine in Joshua Michaels between himself and the battle now that's on for second. Emmanuel Hartnett battling side by side with Jake Baskinger. And look at Tim Walsh trying to use that inside line, and it's working. He not only got by Michaels on the inside line, he now will get by Dylan Young. So Dylan Young now falls down a lap to the race leader. That leaves us with, I believe, 39 drivers on the lead lap. Young, Michaels, and Colin Denton now off the lead lap. Is Walsh going to try and pass J Arndt? Tim Walsh's car looking really good. Remember, we said K Tellier seemed to be the only driver making passes on the inside line earlier on. Well, Tim Walsh is doing a heck of a job on his own, getting by what is now lap traffic. Dylan Young, J Arndt, Joshua Michaels, they all restarted ahead of Tim Walsh. And Walsh, one by one, the inside line, has picked them off, and he's put them all off the lead lap. More importantly, he's put them between himself and second place Emmanuel Hartnett. So Tim Walsh, things looking good for him right now. And keep in mind, these drivers all came to pit road around lap 26 or so. Between laps 26, 27, 28. That puts them right within the fuel window of making it to the end. They had the opportunity with those caution laps to be able to save a little bit of fuel. So right now, it's going to be super close on whether all these drivers, if we go green to the end, can make it to the checkered flag without having to do maybe a gas and go or something. It all depends on how much fuel they were able to save under the yellow flag pacing laps and how much fuel they may be able to save in this long green flag run, if we have the long green flag run. I mean, we've had the caution already out here for once tonight. We might see it again. Meanwhile, as Tim Walsh checks out, Emmanuel Hartnett, J Baskinger, this battle for second still has not gone away. Baskinger now going to try the inside again. That may cost him. Carson Scott now jumps up to the high line, and now he'll try to get alongside Baskinger for the third spot. As soon as he does that, Nathan Hudson to the inside of him for fourth. And Hudson, I think, may possibly clear him. No, Scott gets that run off the high side. And looks like he's going to try and clear and take fourth place back. Take a look who's jumped up here into the top 10. Chris Dodd in the 88, now up in the 7th position. He won this race last year. Can he get up there and win it for a second year in a row? We've said it multiple weeks that Chris Dodd in his championship season last year, that two of his wins that got him into the chase for the championship came during the second half of the regular season. Well, Chris Dodd putting a little bit more theatrics into it, bringing it right down to the wire here. If he could pull off the victory here in the next to last race of the season. Chris Dodd coming into this race, he's 18th in the points. His finish last week at Yas Marina Circuit jumped him up 4 spots in the standings. So he's ahead of a lot of one-time winners like McIntosh and Llamas, Fitzwater, Miles. So Chris Dodd, there's pretty much no doubt that if he went to victory lane, he'd be locked into the chase for the championship leaving tonight. Meanwhile, Tim Walsh out in front, looking for his second win of the season. Tim Walsh, it's not happened yet in his career where he's had a multiple win season in Hersheys Cup. He only had one win coming into this season, and that was, I believe, at Atlanta. I think it was Atlanta. Back in season 2. I can look for confirmation on that. Give me 1 second. And no, it was not Atlanta, actually. Yeah, where was it? Actually, maybe it wasn't in... Well, I'm looking here on season 2. I'm not seeing his name. Oh, it was Atlanta. It was Atlanta, but it was back in season 1. It wasn't season 2. He was winless in season 2. He came in this season, went to victory lane at Darlington, and now trying to win here at Kentucky. He's got 2 full seconds, over 2 full seconds between himself and Emmanuel Hartnett. He's also got 3 lap machines that are up to speed. And boy, these laps have ticked away. When we get to the stripe, there are going to be 7 laps to go. Boy, it seemed like that first half of the race kind of seemed to drag on and like we weren't really getting anywhere fast. But all of a sudden, we are in less than 10 to go. And Tim Walch ticking off laps one by one. 7 laps remaining in this thing. Tim Walch with an amazing run there at the beginning of that restart. And he's about to actually encounter some slower traffic up ahead. That was Chris Dollerton. I think that might have also been Keith Batson, a couple of drivers that were involved in our only caution. Actually, nope, strike that. That is Dollerton and Flickinger. Have to see if Tim Walch can get around them pretty quickly. Last thing he wants to do is be held up and lose that nearly 3-second advantage he's got between himself and Emmanuel Hartnett. Walsh going to drive down to the inside 3 wide. Now look at that. Power move by Tim Walsh puts them in his rearview mirror, and that now places 5 lap machines between himself and second place. Tim Walsh, just but maybe about half a car length, was unable to get by. Oh, wait a minute. I think we might be under caution. Are we under yellow? Yes, we are. Oh, boy, does this shake things up. We're under the caution flag. Keith Batson's on pit road, and oh, there's a lot of drivers. Involved. Dylan Poteet, Sean Gallighan, J Bryant. Where's Gallighan going? Where's Poteet going? My goodness. Colin Denton's in the grass. Cole Baker might have been in this. James Richardson, a lot of damage. Stephen Pollard III. Wow, we had a big wreck. Dallas McIntosh has got some left side damage. And I don't know if we'd be getting to go back green in this thing or not. Oh my goodness, look at the skid marks all over the front straightaway. And 2 of those drivers that I mentioned, Gallighan and Bryant, that needed good runs tonight, they were involved in that. That could be their chase hopes done. Under caution, we'll have to see if we go back green at all, but for now we're going to look back. Apparently a really big wreck, bringing out our second caution of the day here at Kentucky. And this is going to start with rookie Matt Haas, who was running at the time in the 9th position. And take a look at this. Engine just lets go in the middle of 3 and 4. He's going to try and get to the road. He realizes something's wrong, but Daniel Voyles is to his inside, and then this is where the pileup begins. Contact there from Joseph Srigley. There's where Richardson gets it. Bryant, Benjamin Miles gets involved. Sandfer is in it. There's Stephen Pollard III. Cole Baker's involved. Batson right there. Watch Gallighan up ahead. He's almost clear, and then J Bryant, the rear end of his car, comes down. There's McIntosh. There's Poteet. And it's just a stack up. Matthew Dallio right there in the 5 gets involved. My goodness. What a absolute parking lot here. Michael Norman, Blaine Keys, they're involved. Joshua Ciculli's involved. Alvarez might have gotten a piece. Trent Dunham, oh man, just clobbers Michael Norman. Well, we mentioned Gallighan and Bryant. Well, Miles gets involved in this one too. Boy, look at the cars just littering the front straightaway. Richardson locked into the chase, but doesn't look like he's going to finish this race out. Same for Trent Dunham. And there's Bryant on pit road along with Keith Batson. My goodness. There's Gallighan. His car's in a heap. Same for Poteet. Big wreck here, and it started with a driver inside the top 10. Engine failure in the middle of the corner leads to a big pile up. A number of drivers involved here with less than 5 to go. Well, we have the lights out atop the pace car, and 2 laps to go was shown by the race official, which means it will be a 1-lap shootout to finish out this race. To be honest, I don't see Tim Walsh being able to throw this race away in 4 corners, especially with the fact that he's got a single file restart. All the lap down cars will restart where they are, and there are 5 of them in between Tim Walsh and second place Emmanuel Hartnett. So I think Tim Walsh very easily is going to get this win at Kentucky. But big story, a number of drivers that have retired from the race, and there's some pretty interesting stories in that. Dallas McIntosh, who coming into this race was not locked into the chase, he's out of the race. As are Zachary Stoltz, James Richardson, Sean Gallighan's out of the race. That could be his chase spot gone. The Daytona 500 winner. Poteet's out, as well as Joshua Ciculli, Matthew Dallio, Matt Haas, Trent Dunham, J Bryant. That could be his chase spot gone. Keith Batson's also out of the race, along with Michael Norman and Colin Denton. So it looks like Benjamin Miles may be in good position, at least right now, if we don't have another different winner, either here tonight or next week at M&M's, to get that final spot in the chase for the championship. As the green flag is back out, the white flag displayed at the same time. Manuel Hartnett trying there on that restart. He went up the middle 3 wide with some of the lap machines. But Tim Walsh is driving away. He's got Dylan Young and J Arndt, who are off the lead lap behind him. And a huge gap back to Emmanuel Hartnett. Through 3 and 4, Tim Walsh is going to be picking up his second win of the season. First multiple win season for Tim Walsh. And he is now locked into the chase for the championship. He'll take the checkered flag here tonight at Kentucky. Tim Walsh going coast to coast, pole to win. He had to get by Emmanuel Hartnett to do it on our first restart, but Tim Walsh closes the deal. He came into tonight's race not officially locked into the chase, but now with this second win, Tim Walsh will be in his second Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. Still question marks, though, surrounding Dallas McIntosh, whether he'd be locked in yet, or Cody Llamas, or Zachary Fitzwater. Have to see where all those drivers finished. Walsh with the win. Hartnett continues on. What a season he's been having. He's going to get second. Third place, that would be Carson Scott. I think that might be Scott's best finish of the season so far. Nathan Hudson in fourth. Baskinger in fifth. Voyles in sixth. Voyles has gotten some good finishes the last couple of weeks. Still finishing in the top 10. Zachary Fitzwater finishes in seventh. Chris Dodd in eighth. Jessica Shelton, another solid outing for her, in ninth. And Cody Llamas finishes in 10th. Fitzwater and Llamas with 7th and 10th. Would this put them within a 47-plus point bracket of 30th in the standings heading into next week? With the bad luck had by Gallighan and J Bryant, it very well might. Maybe those finishes have put Fitzwater and Llamas in the chase. We'll have to find out after this video is over. Then you got K Tellier 11th, Anthony McCrury in 12th. Mathews gets 13th. How about James Qualls in 14th? Go-home driver. Another solid outing for a Joanna Atwood Motorsports car after Osborne took the win last week at Yas Marina Circuit. Alvarise gets 15th, 16th for Blaine Keys, and the rest of your top 20 were McIntyre, Miles, Baker, Curtis with a great run in 20th. Benjamin Miles 18th, finishes ahead of both Sean Gallighan and JT Bryant, and a different driver does not go to victory lane here tonight. So right now, Miles still sits in that critical 16th seed in the chase for the championship. He's got to hope that next week we don't have a different race winner. We're going to a super speedway, so the odds are in favor of that happening. So we'll have to see what happens in that situation. As you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results, 23 cars finished on the lead lap. Stephen Paul with the third, the final one of those. Everybody else finished either off the lead lap or out of the race due to that big wreck that's in turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway, including putting behind the wall McIntosh, Stoltz, Richardson, Gallighan, Poteet, Ciculli, Dallio, Matt Haas, Trent Dunham, JT Bryant, Keith Batson, Michael Norman, and Colin Denton. Let's also keep in mind that Michael Norman did not come into this race locked into the chase as well. Even though he's a two-time winner, Michael Norman, we'll have to see where this puts him in relation to the top 30 in the point standings as well. But that's going to do it here from Kentucky. Tim Walsh now locks himself up a spot in the chase for the championship. Zachary Fitzwater, Cody Llamas, they may have done the same as well. We'll have to find out. As up next, we're going to show you your overall point standings as well as your current chase standings next week. Almond Joy, Hersheys Cup, the chases will together at the M&M's Super Speedway regular season finale. Hope you'll tune in for that. I'm Seth Cole signing off. Thanks for tuning in as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing